And we are back. Welcome back to the last of the low energy travels on this side of the English Channel, anyway. So I've actually been waiting for my phone to charge enough that I feel comfortable with it. Until then, I've been YouTubing it. I've been a bit behind on my YouTube since the trip, so. I mean, I flipped through the channels, but I might as well have been flipping through actual YouTube channels. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. As of yet, the video with the TV has not been taken down. That's a good sign. Normally it takes it down by now. So, all right. We survived the worst of it. I've got enough for a couple of drinks, and then I'm probably going to go and grab something to eat and go to sleep. I don't know how good the internet signal is here, but if anyone wants, I can do a tour of the place, a proper tour this time, because unlike last time, there's no party. First time I was here, no party. I'm in the xenomorph area, by the way. This whole area was heavily inspired by Aliens, Predators, and in particular anything with Ridley Scott with his name on it. So, if you guys want a tour, I've already showed you a third of the place just by doing it. It's not a very big place. It doesn't need to be. It's just fucking cool. Hey, short boss. I love this table. This is the second time I've been here. It's a promo table for Prometheus, and it just gives you the entire breakdown of the whole, the ship and everything. Oh, I'm sure he won't cause any problems whatsoever. I like, although I have to say that alien there, the way it looks like the aliens from Independence Day. But yeah, I can give you all a tour if you want. I haven't actually gone into the back, so they all assume I'm Hungarian, so I have to break down the language barrier first. Normally, I'm just flinging my finger at the particular pint I want. That's pretty damn cool. We've entered the 14-year-old girl's fantasy land, basically, at this point. Or Evan. I imagine Evan would love this place. That's a good picture of Freddy. And speaking of the devil himself. That's it. That's the whole place. This is the second time I've been here, which puts it as some of the higher places I've actually ever gone to drink while being in Budapest. I've been bouncing from place to place. When I'm done, I'm going to head into the bar proper and just see if I can strike up conversation with the locals. Although it looks like it's winding down, which can be a good thing. I don't know about you guys, but I've never been a big fan of bars that are too packed. because you can't have a conversation with somebody. That means you can't strike up a conversation with somebody. I also don't know what level of quality this is going to turn out to be. This could be some pretty horrible 144, or lower. So, if anyone who pops in, yeah, it's no good if too packed. Short bus, could you tell us what the quality is? Like, I'm imagining it's at best passable, and at worst, you can't understand what the fuck is happening. If that's the case, I'll just make it into a video. Also, did you get to see Medpeds earlier? She was in she did an impromptu live stream up in her local town. They had like an American day, or an Irish Italian American day rather, and it was just, they were flinging food and everything. There was like 7 of us in the chat, and it was actually pretty damn fucking amazing looking. I kind of wanted to be there. I mean, this is cool, but at the time I was sitting waiting for my phone to charge, Speaking of, we now return to your regularly scheduled alcoholic. It's just a little dark. Yeah, maybe a filter could help there. Slate Dawn Bubbles Dance Party. Dance Party would help, but I mean, ugh. Documentary, sepia. What's my documentary? Okay. I can see like 5% better, I guess. My flight's in like 7. No, it's in about 10 hours at this point now. I have an alarm call set for 6 in the morning, so I'll probably end up getting like 5-6 hours sleep. I want a fucking burger so badly, so I'm gonna go after I'm done here and just get myself a. They also have KFC, and great place about here, it's open 24/7. This place looks fucking amazing. I'd love to come back here next time I'm in Budapest. I don't know the next time I'll be in Budapest, but there's a good chance I'll be here on grounds that it's cheap as fuck. The whole trip, even though it was only 4 days, even by American standards, cost me next to nothing. And I've always praised Americans for being good value for your money. Except for actually getting there. That can be a bitch. But the flight, 140. Hotel, 130. KFC not 24/7 in Kentucky. Oh man, I didn't know that. Kentucky sucks. I was in a border town, Ashland, up in Kentucky. It was either Kentucky or... No, it was Kentucky. And they had no booze. And I was just there like, what the fuck? But it was a Sunday, so no booze. I know Utah does something similar, and I know Pennsylvania has that weird triple purchasing policy. That one drew me. I remember I was living there for 3 months. That drew me through the fucking ringer. I remember one time we had to stop off at 5 different places. Yeah, I know, but it just so happened that I was walking through a particular county. So, it could be worse. It could be entire states that suffer it. But I think county laws and state laws, I think state rights are fucking overrated. Not just overrated, but I think they're genuinely hurting America. I mean, state rights were one of the major reasons of the Civil War. Regardless of what Americans thought that the Civil War was fought over, it was over state rights. Like, you guys need a unified federal government doing one thing, and state legislators are just there as, you know, sorting out the nuances. You know, you don't need fishing tariffs in Arizona, for example. But, of course, then that will just brand me a Democrat. I guess I'm an old school Democrat then. We a group of different states. What, like five states apiece or something like that? Like, you got New England, you got the South, you've got the West Coast. I know the West Coast all votes very similar and all thinks very similar. So maybe. But then you only go a few miles inland and then you've got don't like one, just go to another. I know, but that's defeating the purpose. Wouldn't it be better to stay at home and fix that shit at home? If your hometown is run by a motherfucker who thinks that gay people are the spawn of Satan and closes all bars and forces everyone to go to church, and he pushes it as the extent of state or even county law, well then, there's something wrong with your system. Now, you can run away, or you can stay and fight. I know I'd stay and fight. I don't mean literally fight, but I mean vote in the guy next time around who can actually get it done. Or the woman. Or the person who's backed by the people who know better. It doesn't fucking matter. It's all transitory. But while someone is in office, they can do some real harm. There's these boxes on top of the... can you see one? There. It's almost like a film reel. I don't know what the fuck it represents. It might even represent a film reel. Oh, it does. There's some down there. But, this is like the only part of the building that is like predominantly focused on Alien and Predator, or just one theme. This is the Ridley Scott room, basically. This motherfucker right here. Which, for the record, if you ever want to hear his best time he ever said his piece, it would be in American Gangsters. That is him just sort of lounging back, apparently eating like a bag of biscuits and sipping coffee and just talking the shit. I love it. It's 3 hours of just a really, really smart human being talking about anything and everything under the sun. He sometimes talks about it. But this place is really fucking cool. It reminds me of Fibber McGee's in Dublin, which Fibbers used to look a lot like this, only it wasn't movie themed, it was just generally black metal rock themed. And downstairs it was sort of like anarchist sort of theme. They had wrought iron gates, and I think the toilets looked like something from like the 1920s. But when I was down there, they were falling apart. And when I mean they were falling apart, I mean the stalls themselves were literally caved in. It was ramshackle. There were wires off the ceiling, and there were strange oozes around. And no one would ever, if you went to drink in Fibbers, you would have never, ever brought them to court over that. It's not because they were like too powerful or something. It's because you knew what you were going to get in Fibbers. That's the place where people's hair got set on fire because people who didn't like them set lighters underneath, and everyone had long hair, including me. I didn't get my hair set on fire, but I was in a group who actually did it to somebody. He apparently talked shit about someone's brother, and we all just were like, came close, and he had a long, I always remember, a long black ponytail, like Red Sonja. It was like huge. This thing took ages, and it set fire in the middle. and went halfway up towards his skull. And that's when everyone noticed it and was like, oh my god, what the fuck? We were little shits. We were fucking little shits. I mean, I'm a little shit now, but I'm also an older, wiser shit. I'll be less likely to set fire to people's hair. But Cahoots. Oh, I love the place already. With a name like Cahoots. Yeah, you guys have the luxury. We have very few biker bars. By the way, Fibbers was a biker bar. And I mean real bikers. The Northern Ireland Irish chapter of the Hells Angels drank there. When they used to do the loop, once a year they'd come down to Dublin. It was only a short drive. They'd all get their papers stamped, and then about 80 of them would all drive down with their girlfriends and their wives and their friends all coming in cars afterwards, and they'd stay for about 48 hours, and they'd go to Fibbers, and Fibbers would accommodate them, and if you had a mouth those nights, you didn't go to Fibbers, because you would have gotten a tire iron to the face, you'd have gotten your head kicked in. I saw it happen. I saw Biker Justice. A guy, they heard through the grapevine, this scrawny little motherfucker, he was not liked by anyone. He was a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend, but even that friend kind of like distanced themselves. And he had attacked his girlfriend at the time with a brick. Like, he literally hit her with a fucking brick. And we all got word back. And while we all talked about it, we didn't do anything. Once the bikers fucking heard, oh no, he was taken around the side, and then the ambulance was called. We know from people who poke their heads around the corner, a kicking it would be a light description of what happened. I'm sure he was kicked and punched, but I'm pretty sure blunt objects were used as well. He never showed up again, and apparently he could never walk right again after that night. That's how rough Fibbers was back in the day. And apparently, get this, I had shown up near the end of that era. It was a lot worse back in what was wooden days of it, because the innards of Fibbers had been transformed over the years. Like, when I was there, it looked like this. It had the sort of black stucco going on. It had the murals on the wall. But first generation Fibbers was all wood, all bright yellowish golden wood. And people in the 80s shit, they remember every second week an ambulance would be called because someone got knifed. And every week somebody got knifed, but they wouldn't have told an ambulance. They would have walked it off. You know, it was not your friend. Now, however, it is considered trendy. You go to Fibbers to feel like, you know, you're swaggering around with, you know, dirty, different people. Because around the corner is a very trendy lounge called the Front Lounge. No, not the Front Lounge, it's a gay place. And I mean literal gay place. That's up in near Georgia Street. The Blue Lounge or something like that, I think it's called. And it's very trendy. Like, I've been barred from walking in the front door while wearing a suit. They just looked me up and down and said, "Not tonight, mate." And I was like, "I've literally just hopped off the bus. I haven't been drinking." And they were like, "Oh, we can tell you haven't been drinking. Just not your kind tonight." And you're like, "Okay, fair enough." You walk around the corner, you go into Fibbers, you're treated like everyone else. A piece of shit. It's great. Pubs like that are a dying breed. Pubs like this, I imagine, in Hungary are a dying breed. I wouldn't be surprised if there's gentrification going on in this town. Oh, and if anyone actually ever hears this who remembers a Fibber story, you give me a call. We can... Next time I'm in Dublin. Yeah, tell us about Cahoots. Like, Are there lads in leather jackets that you know that if you were to look at them the wrong way, they would blast you over the back of the head? Is the band covered in like the chicken mesh as they're playing? Beer is super cheap, but they only have like 5 different alcoholic drinks behind the bar, and it's only ever for shots. You know? I love those places. You'll meet the coolest people. Because there's no airs, you see. You know what you're walking into. There's no bullshit. Like I've been earlier today. I was in the in that trap bar, and it was you could tell that a lot of rich kids drink there. A lot of hipsters. Punk. Right, I'm actually on a timetable, so I'm going to knock this back. Then you all get to go. Well, you all. It's short bus right now, as far as I can tell, and anyone watches in the future. So, in theory, you all. Thank you for showing up, by the way, short bus. Tell Ryby I'll be showing myself more in the rabbit streams in the next couple of weeks. It'll be like the old days, including me not putting up with any of her shit, and her being dismissive even though she knows I'm fucking right. But I'll have this beer and then I will head up back to the bar and get another beer. But you all get to join me, and I have a feeling along the way we're going to meet some people who will be very happy to. I'm actually very curious. Oh, there's foosball. There's foosball. I was wondering what that noise was. No, I never liked foosball. I've always liked pinball. Now, I love pinball. And I adore air hockey. I'm actually good at air hockey. I mean, like, really good at air hockey. You ever want to chill with me at a place that has it? I will fucking beat you. There's a good chance I will fucking beat you. It's one of the few things I'm actually good at. It's because I'm so damn aggressive at it. I'm just like, I'm just like, smack. I'll batter you into submission. I'm terrible at pool. Chris has taught me at least 3 times. First taught and then re-taught me how to play pool. No, not that I know of. And there's only one air hockey table in all of Carrick-on-Shannon, which is the next nearest town to me. It's not even my town. There's a dart league. I have a friend. She's a friend in her own right, but she's majoritively the mother of a good friend of mine, and she's big into her local dart league. So like I know what it's like. Pool. There might actually be yes, there is. There is a pool league, and I know. Here's a story. When we first moved in, some of the items from the previous people who lived in our apartment had been left there, and one of which was the second place Midlands pool/snooker trophy. Now, I don't know how those two games can fully mesh. They're not the same game, pool and snooker, billiards and pool, but and snooker. But the fact is, we have actual proof that at some point there was a league, and whoever lived here prior had that trophy. It's actually quite pretty. I have it up next to my my party keg. You might remember the party keg from the Hobgoblin. But yeah, I think there is a league, but there is a far more predominant darts league, and that has championships in Carthy's, the Dave's place, where I've filmed there a few times. And as much as 14 people show up, plus their associated friends who fill out the bar. I think I saw a championship being advertised there once as like a championship like game, but I don't know if it was. I don't know if it was an actual. Like the place of the final match, or it could have been like the semi-final or something like that. Yeah, I played it in college, and I remember the very first time I did it, I aimed so low. I didn't just miss the board. I didn't just miss the area that was housing the board. I aimed another board's worth down onto the stucco, the wall. And I just stuck there, and I'm like, okay, next time I'm going to aim really high. So I aimed really high, and this time I hit the metal. I hit the corrugated metal around the edge of it. And then I'm like, okay, the last one I just threw randomly, and I actually got pretty close to the bullseye in the top right. I think in the one of the black lines. So I don't know how it's necessarily worth, but they said that if I had thrown two more like that, I would be acceptable. Close your eyes and spin first. I've actually seen people do that. Nah, I've been always more electronic anyway, except for air hockey, like I said. And I like pool. I'm not good at pool, but I like pool. It's like golf. I'm not good at golf, but I like the driving range. I like this table to myself and just one by one pop the balls, you know? That's why I occasionally reinstall the Real Pool Now game, which is free on Steam, by the way. And they even have leagues and tournaments where you can talk to random strangers while you do it. Same with the chess, the VR chess, that's currently free. Big fan of chess, by the way. I've actually, you might remember, you in particular, Short, you might remember I played a few games against Revy. Beat her once too. Although she'll always argue it was a tie, but only because I trapped her king in the corner, and she's like, I can't move, so do you want to call it a tie? And I'm like, well, you can't move, but I can move, but you know what, we're friends, yeah, let's call it a tie. Yeah, tell her I'll be down for a match anytime. Yeah. Other times she kicked my ass. And then I went off and played with some, over the next few weeks, I played with some, I think they were from Spain or Portugal, maybe Mexico, but they were definitely Hispanic, Portuguese speaking girls, and I played with them for a bit, and then I just kind of stopped. Every once in a while I'll flare up VR chess on Steam and just play a game or two. And I'm not great either, but I don't know, I enjoy it. I like the fixed rules. I like the way you can't really fuck around with it. It's just, it's like, I understand why people like checkers or backgammon. I don't like it I don't like those games, but I do like chess. But we all seem to like those games for those same reasons. I always loved Risk, and although you guys called it Stratego, and Monopoly. Big fan of Monopoly. Anytime the power goes out of my apartment, Chris and I play Monopoly. I always kick his ass too. I wear him down through purchases. Oh sure, yeah, go buy another plot of land. Yeah, put another hotel down there. Yeah, why not? Listen to how the music's dying down. It's suddenly telling us that it's pretty soon. Our Risk was a big long ass game. Yeah. Risk is not something you casually play. Battleships. If you want strategy, play Battleships. Oh, I'll tell you one game I loved as a kid. I loved the game of Life. I always loved. When I played Theme Hospital, you might have noticed I was constantly comparing it that level screen to the Game of Life. Because of course it is a big circle in the center. Money and cars and a beautiful wife and yeah, that was a solid one. Did you ever play the PC that you probably will get it for free these days? It's quite old. It's called Keeping Up with the Joneses or something like that, and it's a DOS game from the 90s that's heavily inspired by the Game of Life, and it is very, very, very poignant. I mean, you need money. You work at Fast Burger. You take a loan out, or you invest in the stock market, and then down the line it'll come back to bite you. You get married, and the kids want a new flat screen TV. Oh, I'm sorry, a plasma screen TV. Oh yes, yes, because it was the 90s, and plasma was all the rage. Which, for the record, I watched shit on a plasma screen TV, and if you look at it from the side, it didn't do anything. You weren't able to see it because the plasma was above the screen. It was kind of stupid. But hey, it was the best high definition we had ever seen before. So, but yeah, I loved a lot of those board games. I like Clue. We called it Cluedo, but it's the same game. I don't know why we added the Cluedo to it. Probably Hercule Poirot, as in Agatha Christie. I also like Escape from Colditz. Very hard to find game these days, but I played it at my aunt's year when I was like 7, 8, and it was you're a bunch of British prisoners in Colditz Castle, and you have to find one of 6 ways of leaving the castle by using the cards available, which you get 1 card a day. And the cards can be useless on their own, but if you sacrifice 1 card, then you might get another card, such as, for example, let's say you have real cigarettes. You give them to the German guard, and he will give you real chocolate. Then you give it to the German quartermaster, who will give you leather. That leather can then be used to be one of the 5 ingredients you need to make a glider to fly away. So it's very clever. But of course, then you have to roll the dice to see how are the German inspections doing. You know, maybe outside forces. There's even an Allied bombing raid at one point, which is a bad thing because it will take away one of every item. Yeah, and the thing about it is, it came with these really, I'm almost call them like, if you've ever seen the original art for Return to Wolfenstein 3D, with Blazkowicz behind his corner and he's taking pot shots at SS troops. It's kind of like that, except there's like 18 pictures that you find throughout the game, and they're all beautifully done. Like you're in the sewers of the old castle at one point if you want to escape that way, and it has like your whole team, and they look like characters from like an adventure novel. And one guy's got a torch. Or the SS arrive, and then it just shows like a boot getting out of a car, you know, like a jackboot getting out of the car, and you can tell that like, it has like the penalty of like 25% increase to security. It's one of those games that if you love um, sort of like stealth games. That's for you. But I always remember that one. I was never good at it. I only ever played it like 4 times, but I always remember how cool it looked. Right. Let's get the gas out of my system. God, I look so sad. I'm on holidays. I should smile more. This trip has been good, but ever since Linda left, I'm not gonna lie, it has gotten more and more stressful and less rewarding. But it's still been a positive. I would highly recommend you come here. And the great thing about it is that even by American standards, shit here is super cheap. Right.
Igen. Húzzukják! Akkor nem elmentél, ahogy a backstage-on van a műzik. Egyszer ezzel a nem, hogy a faszomba hívják, mert ez a bulát, de ezt aztán megváltozott. Nem tudom, hogy mi volt akkor, most már ezért nem mondott pontosan, de valószínű. Emlékszek, hogy ebben az ütközött valamivel, amikor úgy akartam bízni. Hát én megnéztem, én nagyon régóta vártam, nem tudom, 15 évet még előtt. Már több is. 90 évek elég. Csak Magyarországon soha nem volt, nem volt. Most idén már kell be, úgy örültem, hogy... Csak az nem...
Hey, kind of getting on.
Yes, but because at midnight.
So, all right then. I will grab I'll grab 2.
2?
So yeah. So I won't need to come back up.
2 of them?
Yeah.
But you can't take with you.
No, I know. I'll be.
Hát nincs koktél, hiába nézitek. Tényleg nem adok többet, semmi. Fél után nincs koktél.
Mert én úgy a feles kerestem.
Koktél feles sincsen.
Ja, de Miss Pixnek volt a izéje. Miss Pix lesz? Nem Miss Pix. Ez a... Ja, igen. De Miss Pix a vapasára. Az egyébként podcast volt. Valahogy jött. Én tudom, hogy nem akarok Miss Pixet. Én is. Aha. Én valahogy nem akarok Miss Pixet. Én a benzinket adok.
Thanks.
Mondjuk nem, de megértem magam.
Srácok?
They're going in my pocket until I get back in the seat. It is. It's one of the most complicated languages to learn. Period. Like regardless of any social grouping or whatever, it's very similar to Finnish, and very similar also to Turkish. which you don't say around these parts. But yeah, you heard what she was like. That was actually surprisingly quick that I got that point. I'm not gonna lie. One major problem I have with the city is just they take forever to get around to you. I think they go by group. Like the bigger group you are, the more important you are. So if you're just there on your own, you're never gonna get served. But you did have a point. I've only got 20 minutes, give or take. I mean, they're not going to be so anal about it. I'll be out of here at most by 12:15. So, with that in mind, let's get started. Normally I get along really great with the bar staff of other people's, but in this case I think the language barrier means that I can never get to know them, so instead we're just trying to go by broken English. Which fucking sucks, but this is the second time. I don't hold it against them. I mean, their English is better than my Hungarian. Yeah, it's Finno-Ugric. Finno-Ugric, that's the language. English is Germanic. Hold on, let's see, can I look at an album cover? I need the right level of shadow. So, the caveat is you can't see my beard very well, or at least it's not important, and you can definitely not see my eyes. You can only see my eye sockets. I'll answer that question once I figure this shit out. That'll do. Budapest is a couple of thousand years old, isn't it? Like, Buda and Pest were two separate towns that traded really well together. And over the, you saw what I was doing there. I was actually kind of go for more of a this look. But Budapest for centuries was two towns just that traded with each other, and eventually they grew into massive towns in and of themselves. Now you'll see in the video that we'll post up, the Danube is huge, and in fact back in those days it was even bigger because there was less human interaction with it. So when I say it's wide, it's fucking wide. It might not be as wide as, say, the Mississippi, but it's still fucking wide. And so you had two different cultures either side of the river, and eventually they were so intertwined, bridges passing overhead and ferries going back and forth around the clock, that eventually they just were like, let's just make one city. So they created Budapest. Buda on one side and Pest on the other. That's in Discworld, Terry Pratchett. Ankh-Morpork, the same thing. Ankh and Morpork. Ankh is the well, Morpork is the shitty part. In many ways, it's like when you go to Omaha. Across the river, the Missouri River, is Council Bluffs. And I've been to Council Bluffs. It is a shithole. It's a genuine shithole. If anyone from Iowa who say otherwise wants to say it, all I'm going to say is I have seen dilapidated buildings and homeless people and so much meth in that city. Plus, you guys legalize gambling, but you have no regulatory commission, so that's fun. Throwing shade at Council Bluffs in the middle of Budapest. What the fuck is YouTube? Somewhere right now, there's someone from Venezuela who has a deathly hatred of Swedish people. Well, I'm down to 15% power. That sucks. I'll wait until it gives me the second one and then I'll be out of here. Well, as in I will stop streaming. Yeah, so I'm gonna down these beers as quickly as I can. I probably won't even finish the second one. I didn't bring my charger. You know why I'm sitting here at the end of the day? Why I'm really sitting here? This plug. Just make it out there. The idea was that I would get my charger and charge up while I talk to you. I didn't do that. But my place is just like a few doors up. So I'm going to grab something to eat and then go back there. So this second beer will probably be my last beer for the night. And then probably at most 5 hours sleep. And then I'm up, I'll get myself breakfast and then I'll get out the door. Okay, so I literally just got told second time, low battery. So I'm going to end it here. Thank you to everyone who watches in the future, and thank you to everyone who watched tonight. I have no idea if it was just Short Bus, but regardless, thank you so much, Short Bus, for engaging. I will see you all, if I can, on the flight back, but in reality, probably after I'm well ensconced back home. Probably with Coco on my shoulder, being Coco. This week is going to be a return to form. So watch that shit and take care. As for me, I am going to get more drunk, and then I'm going to eat, and then I'm going to sleep like a real man.